Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, these televangelist guys are just trying to take advantage of people while they're scared. I know. They even busted that one jackass for selling a fake cure. It turns out he... What? Huh? Well, I'm not even wearing my hat. No. Run it back. Let's take it again. Krill be under your names, friends. As always, it's a privilege to come into your homes today, and if you're ever released from quarantine and get a chance to come down here to Gulf City, please stop by the church and join one of our Aleazimology services. We will share the whale's great wisdom with you. Say it with me now. I do not fear my death. I will evolve into a ghost. Death is not the end, it is only the beginning. I will reach for entanglement, I will hear the whale's wisdom, and I will step forward into a better existence. All hail Blue Whale, Krill be unto his name. I want to talk to you today about living in quarantine. Quarantine doesn't mean you're on vacation or that there's nothing to do. We all have to find ways to support our families and care for the people that need us, but now we're supposed to do it without leaving our homes. We can't go to the office, we can't go to the job site, we can't go to the store, the bar, or the rub and tug. But Alhut Aleazim teaches us that we need no tools to reach entanglement, that we already have everything we need. Through his wisdom, we learn that the only real obstacles are internal, and that in this time of quarantine, we are primed to overcome those obstacles. But here's the key. Just being in quarantine isn't a free pass to entanglement. There will always be those that try to lure you into a life where you make excuses for your own failures. Those that will try to drag you down to their level, where you are not responsible for your actions and reactions, and where it's permissible to accept the fate handed to you by a world that doesn't care if you succeed or fail, doesn't care if you live or die. If you're going to reach for that next level in the afterlife, if you're going to evolve beyond your fleshy prison, if you're going to reach entanglement in this lifetime, you're going to have to look inside yourself for answers. You're going to have to learn to succeed when everything around you fails. Do yourself a favor and spend some of this quarantine in reflection. Spend some time extracting new wisdom from your existing knowledge. You can't listen to those external voices telling you that it's okay to let the word victim become the basis for your personality. That pulls you out of the water. You can't listen to those voices that tell you that the world is too close to ending, that there's not enough time to reach entanglement before the end of days. That pulls you out of the water. You can't listen to those voices that tell you to take the easy way out and hope to be dealt a better hand during reincarnation. That pulls you out of the water. Don't listen to anyone else, just listen to me. Let the flood of Aleazimology wash over you. Fill your life with a more positive message and stay hopeful and inspired. Fill your mind with the knowledge and wisdom of Alhut Aleazim and give him thanks and praise in this time of crisis. Fill your inner self with the plug of his greatness and stretch yourself out slowly so that you may handle the massive size of his mighty word. You know, Mina and I were watching a live stream the other night, and it was very negative. People were yelling about who was to blame, pointing their crooked fingers at whoever they perceived their oppressor to be, covering their insecurity with the same tired jokes they've used to stave off suicide their entire lives. When I turned it on, I was at peace, one with the will of Alhut Aleazim, and feeling good about my mission to pass down the teachings, so that one day all mankind can be remade in translucent white glory. When I turned it off, I felt distraught. I felt like my faith in humanity's ability to evolve was being tested. It was pulling me out of the water. That whole night, I dreamed that I was alive again during this pandemic, and I was powerless to help steer human evolution towards the righteous path of self-reliance. Mina kept waking me up. Ghastly, you're having a nightmare. Wake up. What we take in through our eyes and ears will eventually reach our subconscious and manifest itself physically. If you're surrounding yourself with those that turn their backs on the teachings of the whale, those that pass the blame and never learn, when you fill your mind with all the negative trappings of humanity, you lead yourself away from your own rising tide. You take yourself out of the water. The next day, I had to get up and finish preparing my message for Saturday night, and I learned my lesson. I can't let my mind be clouded by the sadism of social discourse and expect to operate with the masochism needed to be a cartoon ghost the very next day. You have to be aware of what's pulling you out of the water. When you waste your life worrying about what everyone else is doing wrong, you may forget to do things right. You could miss out on being carried out to the sea of entanglement by your own tide if you let the living pull you out of the water. The evolving are too focused on improving themselves and their community to be consumed by the petty differences between the living. People are all the same, and ghosts are better than all of them. Don't let people take you out of the water. It's easy in your quest for self-reliance to take on the responsibilities of those that ignore the path, those that want to take you out of the water. When you want to help the people around you, it's easy to even take on the responsibilities of those that have been lured by the alt-right, those that have taken themselves out of the water. But no man is responsible for another's entanglement. We can spread our peaceful ways by force, but it is up to each and every one of them, and it is up to each and every one of you to seek out the wisdom of the whale and to know the exalted heights of edification that can only be reached through his teachings, through the words of Aleazimology. And so here you sit in quarantine. Finally, you're not surrounded. Now you have a perfect opportunity to feel that rising tide around you, to take on that responsibility of evolution, to become better today than you were yesterday. You're in the water now, friends. Don't get scared when your feet get wet. This quarantine has given you the chance to redefine what you allow into that inner self, into your subconscious. Don't let those old habits, those old people, those wrong memories creep back into your mind and steer you away from the mighty fin of Alhut Aleazim. If you surround yourself with negative, you will become negative. If you surround yourself with fools, you will become a fool. I'm asking you now, for the sake of humanity's date with destiny, to take this time in quarantine as an opportunity to raise your own tide and become closer to the great and powerful blue whale, Alhut Aleazim. You don't have to be the savior. We've already got one. Don't let their crisis become your responsibility. Don't let them take you out of the water. Don't be selfish, but be wise with your time. Don't let them take you out of the water. You can't make people do what's right, but you can control what you do. Don't let them take you out of the water. In the first millennium after Amenemop, Alhut Aleazim's chosen prophet, Jesus of Nazareth, ended up splintering off from Aleazimology and falsifying federal court documents to start his own religion as a tax shelter. With no prophet of the whale to guide humanity, mankind spiraled out of control and fell into the Dark Ages. When the next millennium started, Alhut Aleazim found no living human worthy of being his prophet, and people continued to fall into generations of starvation, disease, and misery. By 1415, the living were in bad shape. But there was a man named Jan Hus who would not let the state of society take him out of the water. Like you, he was trapped in a world on the brink of collapse. He was surrounded by people who wouldn't own up to their transgressions against the evolution of their species, but he didn't let it take him out of the water. Even when the Catholics burned him at the stake in 1415 for trying to spread the teachings of Aleazimology, Jan Hus did not let it take him out of the water. His rising tide protected him from the flames of heresy, and upon his evolution he was elevated by Alhut Aleazim himself to become the prophet of the whale. And when he did, it ushered in a new renaissance for humanity, and the tide of your entire species began to rise once again. You see, when the world around us looks its bleakest, it is then that we look to the whale for wisdom, and we look to the teachings of Aleazimology for strength. Don't be afraid. This quarantine is a test of our resolve, yes, but it is also an opportunity to improve, to raise that tide, to barricade our minds from the temptations of the alt-right, to shut out the cacophony of negativity that permeates our eyes, to renegotiate with our insurance agents for a better deal on flood coverage. The world watches and waits as our global health crisis develops, but we do not fear our deaths, and we do not fear our lives. Don't let this quarantine keep you from reaching your destiny. Don't let it keep you from reaching entanglement. Don't let it take you out of the water. Thank you for listening today, friends. I want you to remember to believe in your future and believe in Alhut Aleazim, because I believe in all of you. When we practice his teachings, our tide rises and we approach a destiny that builds a better tomorrow for all of us. All hail Blue Whale, Krill be unto his name.